J.T Miller speaks out on the team heading into the playoffs, and the Canucks shuffle the lines before Game 1 against Nashville. I'll get into that later on in this episode. Before I start, I just want to say to thousands of you watching that aren't subscribed, if you're enjoying this Canucks content and you never want to miss another episode, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be covering everything in the playoffs, everything in the offseason, anything you can think about the Canucks, so don't miss another episode. With that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Miller speaks out on the playoffs. Now, obviously, J.T. Miller, who was acquired from the Tampa Bay Lightning, did kind of speak out on Vancouver and his time in the playoffs and everything in between. We had really good teams, Miller said, just kind of speaking on the Rangers team, who traded him in 2018 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But my mindset was still about me and the ice time, and if you looked at my track record, my playoff stats were very poor. I think a lot of that had to do with my attitude. I played in the top 6 or top 9 throughout the year. Then when I got to the playoffs and didn't play the right way, I'd go down to the 4th line. It's kind of immaturity. You learn to grow up at some point, but weirdly enough, since I feel like I've learned a lot about my game, I haven't been back to the playoffs. I haven't been there since I was 26. That's 40% of my career, 50% of my career. That is a big deal. Obviously, J.T. Miller did have some runs with the Tampa Bay Lightning, the New York Rangers, but since joining Vancouver, he has not had the chance. So tonight's game is going to be a big one. The last 4 years, I've just felt like my brain has kind of switched the priorities in my life. Not getting to the playoffs has driven a lot of my frustration. I don't think anybody on this team has played a playoff game here in this building. We've done so many good things as a team, but it's really only matters in the playoffs, and I just want to play in those games so bad, and I know everyone's thinking the same thing. This is a Canucks team that a lot of people are worried and skeptical about because of the lack of experience, with a lot of these players not playing a single home game for the Vancouver Canucks in their building, including J.T. Miller. Now, this is a team that did finish top in the Pacific Division. This is a team that has aspirations to make the finals, to win the cup, and a lot of people are counting them out due to their lack of playoff success, or like J.T. Miller said, their lack of making the playoffs with this core. Now, J.T. Miller does continue on to say, just kind of speaking on the Stanley Cup playoffs, I try to preach the best how I play, he explained, but at the same time, I'm a vocal guy. Everything that I say, the things that piss me off as a leader, and the things I want to explain to the team are based on how it's going to be in the playoffs. It's not the regular season, it's easy, it's just the playoffs. There's no room, and it takes a mindset and courage to win puck battles and go to the net, just get hit by people and sticks. These were the things I didn't really care about when I was younger. Now I know if you do those things more than other teams, you're going to win more times than not. And the players that do that are my favorite players in the league. I mean, I'm obviously not comparing myself to them, but guys like Sidney Crosby, Anze Kopitar, and Ryan O'Reilly, the hard-nosed centermen that take a beating but do whatever it takes. I grew up watching that. Joe Thornton was, when he was with the Sharks, Jamie Benn, I love those players. As a competitor, I revived them, and those are the type of players I want to become. Now, obviously, J.T. Miller did say, and I want to express enough, that he isn't comparing himself to these players, but if the Canucks team do want to make a deep run, they want a chance to win the Stanley Cup, J.T. Miller's really going to have to step up, and like he said, take this role of Crosby, Kopitar, Ryan O'Reilly. Joe Thornton never won a cup, but he is a guy that was always hard-nosed and knew what it took to win in the playoffs. If we can get a version of J.T. Miller that's going to push himself to be that top centerman, he's going to talk to this team, like he says here, just tell people what it's going to take, how hard it is to play in the playoffs. He's going to have to step up for this team, which he has this year with his over 100 points, having the best career year for himself with the Canucks. It's going to be quite interesting how he kind of takes his impact, how he takes his role into Game 1 versus Nashville. Obviously, there's a lot of you guys that might be watching this after the game. This is going up before the game, but the big thing with this is J.T. Miller is going to end up being a huge X factor for this team. And what your guys' thoughts on his comments? Obviously, he said he needs to be a top centerman. He spoke on how hard the playoffs are going to be. What's your thoughts on him? How good do you think he will be in these playoffs? How many points do you think he puts up tonight? Let me know down in the comments. But with that, we'll hop straight into the second topic today, which is the Canucks shuffle lines. Now, the Canucks did shuffle a bit of their lines going into Game 1 against Nashville. Like I said, this was recorded and posted before the game, just in case anyone is watching during or after. With the Canucks, they keep the top line, Suter, J.T. Miller, and Boeser. The second line does see a bit of a shakeup here with Höglander, Pettersson, and Sam Lafferty. Sam Lafferty does get the spot into the top six. We've seen Rick Tocchet speak out today and kind of say how he wants a guy with speed that can win puck battles and just go hard into the corners. So it seems like this is why he is getting the spot on the second line. The third line does stay intact of Dakota Joshua, Elias Lindholm, Connor Garland. The fourth line does get a little of a change, and what did surprise me a bit is the fact that PDG makes it onto the fourth line over a guy like Podkolzin, who we just seen extended. Podkolzin was an absolute wrecking ball, in my opinion, laying hits. He was playing hard, but it seems like they're putting PDG in for the extra just kind of leadership, an older guy, whatever it might be. And we see him with Teddy Bluger and Mikheyev. So the big thing with this is the Canucks do shake up two parts of this line. The defense does stay the same, though. We see Quinn Hughes and Hronek, Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers, Ian Cole, and Nikita Sidorov. I think this is the right lines to go with. The only thing I would change with the forwards, as I said, is just having Podkolzin, but I guess you can put him in for game two. Now, with the defense, like I was just touching on, I wouldn't change any of this. We've seen Quinn Hughes have his Norris kind of season. We've seen Hronek really step up playing with Hughes. I think these guys are perfect together. Soucy and Myers have looked great, and same with Ian Cole and Sidorov, so I wouldn't touch this at all either. Now, it does move on to the power play unit, which we do all know as a Canucks fan has been struggling as of late. We see the top unit being Connor Garland, J.T. Miller, Boeser, Hughes, Elias Pettersson. We're seeing them really stock this top one with their goal scorers. Connor Garland that can fight in front of the net. J.T. Miller that's going to make it hard on anyone to win another puck battle. And then we obviously see Hughes and Pettersson on the point. On the second unit, I really like this unit in my opinion. You have Dakota Joshua, Lindholm, Huggy, Hronek, Soucy. Once again, you still have two defensemen instead of an extra forward on this line, but I think at the end of a penalty kill, you would rather have the two defensemen out in case you get stuck in your own end. So with the units on the power play, I completely agree, and I would keep this the same as well. The big thing with comparing the Canucks and the game tonight is the Canucks do have the edge in a lot. You see the star-studded power, you're seeing the lines, the Canucks do look better. In power play percentage, even though the Canucks have struggled as of late, they are ranked 11th in the league at 22.7%. We see on the penalty kill, the Canucks are 17th in the league, which is still above Nashville, 79.1%. Goals for per game, the Canucks are over them as well with 3.4 goals per game. And the big thing with that is they're ranked 6th in the league, and they're also ranked 6th in the league on goals against at 2.7 compared to Nashville's just kind of 3 goals against per game. So the big thing with this is looking at the numbers, the Canucks should win this. They are going in as quote-unquote underdogs, as Rick Tocchet says, as a lot of people have wrote them off this year, how they didn't think they would make the playoffs, not have this good of the year. People are expecting them to falter. Nashville has been an outstanding team since All-Star break. They've been one of the top teams after being wrote off making the playoffs. So it's going to be an interesting series, and I think winning Game 1 at home is going to be crucial for the Canucks. Now, I did kind of want to just add this one little part in, where NHL or EHL Sports for NHL 24 did a simulation on who would win the Stanley Cup. And of course, and I don't want to say this is going to jinx them or anything, but they have the Vancouver Canucks winning the Stanley Cup in their simulation that they do every year, facing none other than the Boston Bruins in the finals. I don't know if I could just kind of take another 7-game series versus the Boston Bruins. But if anything is dictated by this, I do hope the Canucks do become victorious and win the Stanley Cup. I know that's a lot to take in. Are you guys happy with the forward lines? What's your thoughts on the defensive line? What's your thoughts on the power play? As I said, you're probably watching this after the game and you know the answer to all this. So let me know down in the comments. But speaking on comments, let's hop into everyone's favorite topic, and that's comment of the day. It's awesome to see everyone enjoying this content, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you'll never miss another episode. While you're down there, leave a like, leave a comment. You might be featured on the next episode. And with that, go Canucks, go. Game 1 tonight. It's a big one. Take care.